That's something I've seen a lot of people complain in, reviews of various visual novels, where they'll like, I feel like all the characters are great, but, the character that you play is always really dumb. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I sympathize with that truly. And I wanted to be able to create a character that the player felt was intelligent. She's going to make mistakes and she's not going to be able to, see everything or intuit everything, but you'd be able to understand her logic and her reasoning and, agree with it to at least, to some extent, and felt like you're playing a character that had some agency.
Hey everyone, welcome back in the show. I am Lover's Lens.
And I'm Morik. Today we're heading into a world of fairies, changelings, and seasonal cards. We're joined by Red, the creative mind behind Everfall. Red, we're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your role in the development of Everfall?
Yes, I am the project leader. I wrote the story. I did the programming for it. And that's about it.
So you're basically one-man army.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The programming and the story, that sounds like a good 70% of everything.
Well, I mean, the art is such a huge part of it, and the music is such a huge part of it. My composer, Lisa, is just amazing, and her music really, I feel like, nails the overall vibe of the Autumn Realm. And she worked on Evernight as well, the other game set in the same sort of fairy world. And her music just really brings it all to life and brings it all together.
Also, returning talent. We were going to have some questions about Evernight later on, actually.
But to set the scene for the listeners, in Everfall, we're welcomed into the Autumn Realm, one of the 7 magical realms of Faerie, through the eyes of a human girl called Morwenna. Can you give us a spoiler-free overview of the game?
Sure. The player will assume the role of Mouse, a human girl who has entered into a changeling bond when she was only 3, and then spirited away to Faerie where she was raised. Everfall's story begins roughly 2 decades later, on the day the High Lord announces that Mouse's changeling is returning to the Autumn Realm, a declaration that sets a series of strange events into motion. A human is caught sneaking into Faerie and is brought to Harvest Hall in chains. The Autumn Prince takes a very sudden interest in Mouse, and most importantly, a nightmarish creature abducts her from her bed and tries to kill her. It's up to Mouse to figure out how all these events might be connected and to save her life and her changelings.
So basically it's a mystery story. It's a romantic story, but it has a good dose of mystery in it to figure out actually what happens there.
Yes, that is exactly right.
Yeah, when I tried out the demo, I was very surprised by this nightmarish monster that came to me and
thought it was a dream for a good few seconds before it actually started, talking to you.
Yeah, I definitely wanted, hoped people might think that and be surprised when it was not.
So, the Autumn Realm feels like this lush and mysterious place filled with satyrs, pixies, and strange creatures lurking in the shadow. How would you describe the tone and atmosphere of Everfall?
I guess eerie might be the best way to put it. There's definitely lots of fun and lighthearted moments, and of course romance. But there's definitely some darker elements in Everfall. A creepy fairy is trying to kill the player, after all. So my intention for Faerie is that it feels beautiful and magical and wondrous, but also a little scary. There are some real dangers hiding in the darkness.
You know what that reminds me of? October, especially as Halloween approaches, because it's again this eerie, as you said, feeling, but everything looks also so beautiful.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was looking at the questions. I was like, man, this is kind of the perfect fall
timing.
October,
Yes.
Yeah, perfect timing for this episode. I love this. So everything is very beautiful outside. Leaves are turning red and yellow, and in your game it's the same vibe that we get from the story and the art design. And also it reminded me, I don't know what exactly reminded me of that. It might be the monster, but it reminded me of this show, The Magicians, if you've watched it.
Haven't, no, but that's interesting.
Yeah, they have this like dark feeling in the whole magical fairy thing.
That's cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
I have heard of it. I've heard of it. I never saw it.
Honestly,
Also,
it's
the Big
quite
Bath
good.
is moth themed, so that might also be a factor.
Yeah, this could be the reason I actually made the connection.
That's great.
But while we're on the topic of the setting, why did you decide on the Autumn Kingdom as a central point of the story?
I don't know. I really love fall.
It's
And
the best season, objectively.
it is.
True.
It is. And I already had a concept in my head for the Autumn Prince love interest, so I was just like, you know what? Let's go with it because fall is great.
It is. And it does blend so many things. Like, it can be serene as a setting and beautiful at the same time. It allows for the perfect degree of creepiness and eeriness. I guess
Yeah.
because we kind of associate it with, as I mentioned earlier, Halloween.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Marek. I don't associate it with Halloween that much. I associate it with tea time and coziness and warmth because, like, you're staying inside and looking at the outside world through a window, and like everything goes a little bit darker. The night is coming a little bit earlier and stuff like that. It's not the
Yeah.
Halloween that actually makes it creepy, it's the season itself.
I
Like,
guess
there's
you're right about that.
very
It's
magical.
colder,
It is colder.
and you start putting. Well, I guess that would depend on where you are in the world. You know, it gets colder, and I always associate it with obviously like beautiful, reds and oranges and yellows, but also fires, like starting a fire in a fireplace, like a wildfire. That'd be horrible.
Yeah, because it's fine. Yeah, you better not start a wildfire.
Yeah. That would be. I mean, I guess it would be a really dangerous time for some people, but
True, everything is like very dry at that point. But
Yeah,
I get you,
exactly.
like, I do have a fireplace at my place, and like I got excited last morning when my boyfriend actually put the fire for the first time, and I was like, oh, it's time for the warm
Yes.
thing to come. I'm gonna put my sweater now and boots and go outside and look at the forest because it's beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, having a warm fire and cuddling up with some coffee or tea and a warm sweater or blanket that's
Yeah.
what I think of with fall, and like we've started that time, and it's really nice.
So I can see that you're a woman of culture, and usually people prefer summer as a favorite season. But here we are kind of alike, the three of us, with our
Yes.
tastes, which is lovely. So being on the topic of the whole seasonal thing, we saw that you have another game called Evernight with a very similar premise. Can you tell us a bit more about Evernight? Is it set in the same universe? And if so, how does it connect with Everfall?
It is set in the same universe. Evernight was actually the first game that I made in this world for Otome Jam 2023. There's no direct connections between them, but Evernight was set in the Night Realm with a different cast of characters, but there are some small commonalities that I think players of Evernight will recognize, but nothing very significant.
I'm guessing Evernight is the winter-themed one, right?
It's it's actually the Night Realm. It basically takes place in a realm that is eternal night. There's 7 realms of Faerie. There's one for every season. Then there's one for day, one for night, and then there's a central one, Elfheim, that takes all of the seasons and day and night cycle as well. It's like the heart of Faerie.
Is this the human realm?
No, the human realm exists outside of Faerie, and it's our human realm. In Evernight, you'll see people come in from the human realm that are that make references to our time period. And Everfall takes place much later or earlier in history, around the 14th century. So much further back.
I'm interested. How did you decide to write these fairy stories? Where did you draw inspiration from?
I just love fairy folklore, and I've always wanted to write a story with that setting. One of my favorite book series is the Folk of the Air trilogy, and that heavily inspired my approach to the fairy realm. As to why I decided to write the story, I'm not actually sure. I was joining Otome Jam, and I had found one other person, and we were just talking about what we wanted to do, and she was my background artist at the time, and she said she wanted to draw a ballroom. So I just sort of came up with the concept really quickly within the matter of like a couple of days, and the world was created, and then Everfall came after that. So
I do really love all of the actual references to real-world mythology, by the way, like the red cap drenching its head with blood in order to keep it, wet constantly, that attacks you at the beginning of the game. Or the fact that the cat is an actual thing from, I think, Irish mythology?
I
or was
believe
it?
so.
Yes, where they allegedly could take the spirits of people. So
I do my best to keep enough of the original folklore and mythology intact for all the characters, and then add my own little spin on them. But I do look all of these things up and try to stay true to them.
yeah, that's a very nice touch. I love it. As a bit of a mythology fanatic, I noticed these little things.
Yay! I'm glad.
For me, it was a good experience as well because, I am a nerd. I go LARPing, and Maury goes LARPing with me as well.
We started together, I think.
Yes, we started together. So our friend group, all of us, we go LARPing, and we go fantasy LARPing mainly. So there, in the fantasy LARPing, there is this group that they play people who constantly travel to the Fae world, and sometimes they bring fairies with them. And the thing my character learned about fairies through LARPing is exactly the same stuff that you were talking about in the game. So basically that they can't lie, but they can twist and they can manipulate, and the whole trading system is with a favor. So God forbids of you having to owe a favor to a fairy. And this is a thing that we actually have in the game when fairies approach us and talk to us, and we're like very, very careful with them.
Been avoiding them like the plague.
They are. They're dangerous, and
They are.
And that's something I think was fascinated about when I wrote Evernight and Everfall. Was there's always some how do I say this? They're beautiful, they're alluring, they're fascinating, and they're so fun to write about, to be in that world, to read about. But they're very dangerous, and I wanted to touch on that as much as I could, without it turning into a horror story. Just how difficult it would be to navigate a situation with a fairy.
Yeah, I think the true danger, especially the way it comes out in your game, is how different their culture is. Like, you can't really ask for help from a fairy because they can think of it as a favor, and then
they can consider it a favor, and then you're fucked up.
Yeah, and then you owe them, or you can't tell them thank you, as if you owe something to them now, because if you thank me for something, it means you must consider that I did something for you.
Yeah. It would be so hard to essentially rewrite your like entire life of customs and language, just because it could basically ruin you forever.
Yeah, just because of the way you speak.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite example from this came from Dungeons and Dragons, I think. Someone gave an example. A fairy asks the party, "May I have your names?" And they say yes. And now they don't have names because the fairy took them.
I heard a similar story. Somebody once said that their group encountered a fairy, and he asked if he could have a moment of their time, and they said yes. And like several sessions later, they found out they were stuck in a time loop. I just thought that was
I love that. Okay, fairies are very fun.
yeah. No, I
honestly.
thought that was so brilliant. Like, what a great DM.
Morek, notes. Write down. Write it down.
Yeah. I'm a dungeon master, so I should be writing all of this down.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you guys play D&D together, or?
Yeah, we've played together, but
We
we
used
haven't
to
played
play
in
together.
a year or something because
Yeah.
everyone
can't
has
organize.
things to do. The
Mm,
group can't gather. It's very complicated. Adult
Yeah.
world stuff.
And I also live in a different town now. Like I actually don't live in a town at all, but like I don't live close to them anymore, so it's harder to organize it. And
Yeah.
I rarely go back to the town, and also they don't feel like playing online, so
You've seen how much terrain I make my
Yeah,
hands
yeah.
just so we can play physically. I'm not playing online.
Yeah, I know. And he's very good. Like this guy, he does amazing. But we are not here to talk about you and your DM history, Morag. We are here to talk about Red and the game Everfall. I'm
Remember
sorry.
how we mentioned we went on tangents constantly? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the prime example.
Yeah, but I would leave that in the recording, honestly. It's funny. So, let's move on and talk about the characters of Everfall. Our main character, Morwenna, is caught between two very different realms, being a human raised among the Fae. Can you tell us a bit about her as a character?
Sure. So the player will be able to customize a lot of things about her, her hair color, her skin color, eye color, as well as her name. She goes by Mouse for the most part, by all of the people in Faerie. The player will also be able to guide her personality in a few ways, but in general, she is a small, scrappy, sneaky little character. She's artistic, hardworking, and loyal. And she is very much so at the mercy of her humanity, but she doesn't let that hold her back.
I do really love how resourceful she comes up while you play as her. How she easily sneaks past the guards to get what she wants, for instance.
Her name, Mouse, or her nickname, I should say Mouse, comes from the fact that when she was small little baby, crawling around and wandering around, she just popped up, in all sorts of places. The fairies, they're not used to human kids. They don't really know how to look after them properly. So she would just wander off and appear in other locations. And, they thought she snuck around like a little mouse all the time. So they started calling her that. And she sort of embraced it. As she got older, she never stopped being able to sneak around, and she just got better at it.
I really like the way she learned how to communicate with fairies. Like, she knows exactly what's going on, and she's very, very cautious in her communication. So she's a very smart girl.
I'm glad that you think so. That's something I've seen a lot of people complain in reviews of various visual novels, where they'll I feel like all the characters are great, but, the character that you play is always really dumb. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I sympathize with that, truly. And I wanted to be able to create a character that the player felt was intelligent. She's going to make mistakes, and she's not going to be able to see everything or intuit everything, but you'd be able to understand her logic and her reasoning, and agree with it to at least to some extent, and felt like you were playing a character that had some agency.
Yeah, you managed to do it perfectly, honestly. Like,
Thank you.
I am very happy with that, for real.
Thank you. And that's, That's great. It was important. It was important to me, and not just with her intelligence and whatnot, but also her personality. You know, a lot of visual novels, they do what they can to give you your character some, you know, personality, but I wanted people to feel like they could take her in a few directions if they wanted to be, you know, sweeter or, you know, sillier or more sarcastic, you know, more combative. I wanted all the players to feel like they could really shape her in a way that felt right to them
and still have character.
Yes,
like
and still be smart,
cohesive.
still be
yeah.
I always found it that's how the best characters characters that you play, let me add, come out in visual novels. The ones that have their own personality, but you get to shape the direction it goes to. Because if you play a completely blank slate character, it rarely works for me. A completely blank slate character feels like too generic, shall I say, most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to feel like you're the main character of the story when you don't really feel like a character even.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like the person you're playing makes actual decisions, even though she is technically, because you're making those decisions. When it's a completely blank slate character. Feels like she's reacting to the world more so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
But speaking of characters, there's also Raithorn, the long absent autumn prince who suddenly takes an interest in the main character. Why is he so mysterious, and what's his dynamic with DMC?
So Raithorn has been away from Harvest Hall for decades, and the reason why he left is unknown to everyone at court but the High Lord. Mouse has actually never even met him before he returned 2 years before the start of the game. And in that 2 years, he's never spoken to her, never so much as looked at her, which is why it's so shocking that he suddenly shows an interest in her. Their dynamic is a bit of a cat and mouse like at first. She's a little in awe of him. He's the most beautiful fairy that she's ever seen. And he just seems to be toying with her.
Which is saying something, because all fairies are, well, beautiful.
Right?
No judging, all fairies are beautiful.
Yep,
all
the fairies
are accepted.
They are appealing but equally dangerous.
Yes, and most of them are either incredibly, like, intensely beautiful or just incredibly terrifying.
Or both.
Yeah, or both at the same time. She kind of finds Raithorn a bit of both, too. Like, he's so beautiful, it scares her. Like,
yeah, I kind of get that impression from the first time she describes him. So what can we expect from his route in the future?
You can expect shameless flirting, a little bit of bullying, spicy secrets, and a genuine, heartfelt connection. I don't want to give too much away, so I'll just say Wraith is not what he seems.
I got very excited by bullying for some reason. I don't know. Like,
you're one of my people, I see.
Yeah. Always the toxic trait. Always.
Yeah.
You mentioned that every time there's a toxic love interest in any game we comment.
Yeah, that's true. I am a sucker for those kinds of relationships.
I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah, because we had like different upbringing, you know.
Yeah,
like
true.
These stuff are shaped by your family situation, but I'm not gonna go like deeper into that shit. We're not here for that. I actually didn't realize that he's gonna be the toxic love interest in the demo. So that's why I got excited, like, whoa, nice, spicy.
He's definitely a little, okay, yeah, basically, he's a little toxic, yeah.
Yeah. So we also have Anders, the strange human who finds himself locked in the High Ward's dungeon. What can you share about him and his mysterious connection to Morwina Changeling?
Well, It's revealed in the demo, so this isn't a spoiler, that Anders knows Mouse is Changeling. She's actually one of his closest friends, someone he trusts or trusted implicitly. So it's a pretty big shock for him to see her face looking at him through prison bars. Like Wraith, Anders also has secrets he's keeping very close to his chest, so there will be some turns and twists on his route.
I intrinsically trust him more than the Faerie prince.
He's definitely more trustworthy.
I know, he gives off this vibe of someone who's more reliable, maybe is the word I want to use.
More human, you mean?
Yeah, more human, definitely. And me as a human, am very biased in favor of humans.
He's also a knight.
Knights are cool.
Yeah, he's a knight in the classic sense, the noble sense.
The shining armor sense.
Yes.
But they stole his armor because it was made of iron.
They did. Now he's an armorless knight.
Another question I have, you can decide to not answer me if it's gonna be a spoiler for the full game, but does Anders have like a relationship with Morwena's Changeling?
Like a romantic one?
A romantic one, yeah.
I don't think it's a spoiler if I tell you. No, he does not.
If it was a yes, it would be a spoiler, but it's a no, so it's very clear. So what does the future hold for his route?
I don't know how to answer that without spoilers.
Dance around the whole thing, I don't know.
Okay, let's see. Well, he obviously is quickly comes to understand his situation, you know, that Mouse is not the woman that he knows, and that he's in Faerie. So he has to rely on her to kind of get him through the situation. And he's there for a reason. He has a purpose. He has a quest that the player will learn more about on his route, and he's going to need her help. She's going to need his, and it will bring them closer together.
Okay, this sounds exciting as well, even though I would prefer the the prince. Anyways, but I am interested in that thing. So can you, in the full game, are we gonna be able to get both sides of the story, both Anders and Raithorn as well? I mean, like, is it gonna be able, the player to be able to be in a polyamorous relationship?
No, it's just one. When each route will kind of play out, once you lock in the route, it will play out a little differently. It still goes to the same place, but how the characters get there changes depending on her love interest. So there's no poly routes, just them individually.
Okay. So it's at least 2 playthroughs.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
We also need to talk about the other characters. There's Morwena's pixie adoptive mother, Talindra, and the temperamental Fey cat, and also the High Lord. How do these side characters help flesh out the world and Morwena's choices?
Well, Talindra supports Mouse every step of the way. You know, she's her mother, blood or not, and she has her own hopes and dreams for her adopted daughter. So depending on the route, she's going to have different reactions and advice to give, but she's a constant presence for Mouse throughout the game. Tirla, the Ketchi, is a bit of a firecracker, and she has an important role to play, though it is route dependent. So you'll see more of her on one route than the other. But mostly she just likes messing with Mouse. She is a cat after all.
I just want to say, so she sneaks into my room and then gets angry when I almost trip on her? It's her fault.
Yeah, well, you know, this is her hall. Like, that's how the Harvest Hall is her domain and in her head. So, you know, everywhere she goes, it's like, this is mine. You're just borrowing it. I'm just letting you use it.
Fair enough.
Like a
Fearless.
normal cat.
Yeah, like a normal cat.
A normal cat with a fairy twist, so maybe like a cat like on steroids. I don't know. She's very powerful, though. She's incredibly powerful.
So I guess we are going to see a lot from her in the future.
She definitely has her moments. I don't want to say specifically.
Spoiler.
Okay. Okay. So, what about the really grumpy satyr Fen? I really liked him, and I was surprised that he's not a love interest. And I feel like Fen and the main character have a very funny dynamic. So, what's their story?
It's kind of funny. Fen was actually a very minor character in the beginning, but during the first conversation I wrote between them, I liked their banter so much that I decided to scrap another character so that Fen could have his own sprite and I could write even more of him. So you weren't the only person who was like, why isn't he a love interest? I got that a lot. Their story, Fen has known Mouse since she was first brought to Faerie. And he's been looking after her from a distance all that time. He's kind of a gruff guy. He takes his job very seriously. He has a very dry sense of humor. It's buried in grunts and sarcasm. And because his job is to keep Harvest Hall safe, and because Mouse is always getting into trouble, it's a bit of a free spirit, they have a bit of a contentious relationship, although it's pretty playful. And the player gets to choose what shape their banter takes. If it's kind, playful, sarcastic, or combative. And when the player makes that choice, it's consistent throughout. Like all of her reactions and to him will be in that vein.
So you are actually planning to have him as a love interest.
Yes, I am. I'm like, I was talked into it. There were a lot of people, some of which who are on my team, who wanted to see him become the third ally. I was like, all right, sure. I actually already know how their romance will unfold. I just am still working out fitting it into the main narrative. We're 90% there.
So, the demo currently covers 2 of the 10 chapters and clocks in around 17,000 words. Players get to customize their protagonists, their 2 love interests, different endings depending on their choices. What was the most important thing to you in designing this branching experience?
The most important element for me is character customization. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but I really want players to be able to shape their character as much as possible. Their appearance, their name, their personality. Something I look for in games and visual novels that I play. I always feel like I connect more to a story when I feel like the character is my own. And I hope I can provide that for those who play my games.
Especially the choices, I'd say. It's nice to have the ability to choose the appearance of your characters, but I say what really makes a character is you having an input in their decisions.
Right. Yeah, that's the most. If I could only choose one thing, it would be that. The choices a player can make to really shape their character.
And what about the art in Everfall? It really captures the blend of beauty and danger in the Fae world. Tell us about your artistic direction and how you chose the style, the color palette, the atmosphere, and what kind of feelings you wanted players to experience when they see the characters and environments.
I don't know if I really have a process that I can communicate. I kind of already have an idea in my head of how I want everything to look and feel and sound. And the hard part is finding a way to communicate that to my artists and my sound designer. Sort of lots of Pinterest scrolling, like YouTube searching for like the right tracks and stuff. In my head, the Fae realm and its inhabitants are mysterious and dangerous and impossibly alluring, and I hope that's what others will see too.
Definitely worked if you asked me. I was worried the entire time. From the first moment I saw that silhouette in the back of the forest and had to run for my life, I knew this place was inviting but dangerous.
Yay, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I do agree that you managed to create a very immersive experience with your artist, and the way that everything is coherent and the backgrounds and the sprites, like it's a very good job. I love that.
Thank you. I will pass my compliments to the team. They were amazing.
Yes, please. I would be very happy if you did.
My sound designer, and composer, she pretty much scores the script like it's a movie. She takes it moment by moment, and there are like repeated tracks that we have looped, but she really digs into like every scene to figure out what kind of sound it should have, and she comes up with so many special little moments to really bring it home. She's absolutely incredible. I love her. She's amazing. And my artist, this is my first time working with both of them, and it was awesome. Mila, the sprite artist, she just beautiful painter. She really went all out with everything. And Dax, the background artist, I found them kind of late in the process, and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do your backgrounds.
I wouldn't have been able to tell that the character and background artist were different people because everything blends so well together.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm so glad. That's awesome. Yeah, they were different, and I was also just like, oh, this is amazing. I can't believe how well they match together. And Dax is such an incredible painter, so fast too. Just amazing. You know, I would tell them something, and they would just within like hours be like, here you go. What do you think of this? I was just
Hours?
like, yeah, within hours. Like, it's just so amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, they're so talented.
Like there are some people like that they're like very, very talented and they work very fast, and it's almost like miracle. Like
It really feels that way.
Are you a real person? Are you a robot? What's going on? How are you generating this?
I'm convinced Dax is a machine, like just churning out artwork.
So I guess that she found the perfect team for your project, and I'm very happy that everyone you work with managed to create a cohesive and good job with this project. So
yeah, and I have to give props to my editor as well, because I haven't mentioned Cass, but she's just always amazing, going through my scripts so quickly and giving me so many insights and fixing all of my really dumb little mistakes. She really keeps me on my toes. She really improved the way I write, not just for these projects, but she was always correcting like little things I would do. I have this bad habit of, for some reason, when I write, I don't use a lot of contractions. And so she would fix that for me. And I kept noticing how she would fix it. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I do that. So now in other things I write, I've noticed it more, and I've taken steps to fix it. So I was really grateful to have worked with her, because it feels like I can take it beyond just these projects, what she teaches me.
I will always champion the role of editors and co-writers, because having someone look at your script as you're writing it and just add to it and see the little flaws that you weren't able to notice is such a boon. It's such a blessing.
It is. It's so nice, because especially when you're writing that, quickly, you don't really have a lot of time to go back and edit it. And as a writer, you're so close to what you've written that you have a hard time seeing mistakes unless you put some distance between you and the story. So, having somebody come back behind you and clean it up and make it presentable is invaluable.
Yeah, indeed. When I write, I don't really have a person to do that. The closest thing I have been able to simulate is to come back a few days later and read what I wrote the first time and see all of the flaws I did the first time, because I had some space to think about it now.
Yeah, that's normally my process as well. Everfall and Evernight were the first games that I wrote for a jam, so they were part of a deadline. I have another game called The Azimuth Gap it's not finished. I finished the script, but the art is in limbo right now. And I originally wrote that script all in one go, and I would just, after a few months, I'd come back, I'd go over it again and, make changes, make additions, things like that. And I'm used to doing that. Writing for a jam was a really new experience for me and made me nervous because I'm used to, I need that time to come back. I'm not used to having an editor either. I, again, just want to give Cass some props because she's awesome. An editor often goes overlooked, maybe because it's not something that you see in the game, the final product. Like you can see the artwork or hear the sound. You're reading the script and you're not really thinking about the editor and the impact that they had on it.
True. Like they're usually overlooked in a way, but this is the first feedback that you usually hear.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
They're the silent heroes.
Yes. So far we have 2 chapters to play. What's the plan for future development? Will you be uploading episodically, or should players expect one big release of the entire story?
It will be one big release. I honestly hate episodic releases. They're really popular, and I understand why people do it, but I'm way too impatient for that. I don't like a story being drip fed to me. I want the full experience in one go. So I don't even watch TV shows unless the whole season is released and I know it doesn't end on a cliffhanger.
Okay, I get the second point you said, if it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. But I personally noticed that episodic TV shows can maintain hype for a longer time than just them releasing the entire thing at once and people binge watching it.
That's true. And there's definitely some pros to doing it that way. And I'm not. I jokingly say I hate it, but it's mostly because I'm just impatient. I just want the full thing.
We're all a little bit impatient, honestly.
Yeah. Well, some people really, I don't know if they're necessarily into it, but they do throw themselves into it. You know what I mean? They'll, reading stories or books or whatnot that are clearly not finished, and they're okay with that. They're like, they like that, I guess the hype, as you said, the feeling of getting excited about something, just grows as you're waiting for it. Anticipation, that's what I'm trying to think of. The anticipation of what comes next is very powerful.
And you also get to interact more with the community that way, just form theories with people. Oh, this is going to happen next, or the X thing is going to happen to Y character. Things like that.
Yeah, that's really, really something special. And one of the pros of releasing episodically, I guess I just at the end of the day value the full experience more so than
having a complete story and experience before you.
Yeah.
I think both have their merits, honestly. I can't say one is better than the other. There's no objective answer here.
Yeah, that's true. They both have their merits. I think if it was, like if Everfall was part 1, of multiples, like having a full complete story is, even if it ends, with like, oh, there's going to be a part 2. I understand that, like books are released, that's something I can get behind, and it's fun to theorize with people. I remember being very excited for where Mass Effect was headed until I found out. But when it comes to having a story broken up into little pieces, like with an episodic release, that is my my least favorite, I guess.
Fair enough.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you're not really
So,
getting the full clear picture, and it's a lot harder maybe to keep track of, of all the details and everything when the story is sort of broken up like that.
And I have a different question for you. So we already mentioned that it was a popular demand by your players to add Fen as a love interest. And I wondered, based on your player feedback, how has the community response and the whole comments and stuff like that shaped your work so far? So I noticed that Everfall has a passionate following base, so yeah.
Mostly just having Fen as the third love interest. That's been the biggest bit of feedback that I've gotten, other than just general excitement. But as a request for Fen, and as everybody refers to him as the Moth guy, they want him as a romance too.
The Mothman?
Yeah,
Really?
yes. Yep. So,
Okay, those are the fans of toxic relationships.
And
Which is
Stockholm
funny.
syndromes.
I know, it's funny that he shows up for just 1 minute to kill the player, and people are like, him, I want him.
Yeah. Like if you watched The Silence of the Lambs,
Yeah.
so Hannibal Lecter comes on screen for like 7 minutes during the whole movie, and Anthony got an Oscar for that. Like 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That's about it. That's the screen time in total.
I can't believe it's only 7 minutes. That's
Yeah,
insane.
true,
You
right?
don't notice it's just 7 minutes because he's so captivating.
You know what that reminds me of? Have you ever played, I think it's Far Cry 3?
Yes,
And
I have.
Voss is like,
Yes.
I remember like wanting to play that game. I hadn't played it, and I found out about Voss's character, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so in love with him. And then I wanted to play it so bad, and found out he's only in the game like for a short while, but he's iconic. That's so funny.
I was so surprised that you just beat him halfway through and kill him, as he's one of the bosses, and after that he's no longer in the game. It's like, wait, no way that he actually died there, right? I mean, he's on all of the posters and everyone's talking about it. What do you mean he died in the middle of the...
I know, it's such a missed opportunity. He was so great.
I just Googled it because I felt like 7 minutes is like too little time. It's actually 16 minutes, but still
Okay.
impressive. I'm sorry, I had to figure it out. Like, if
That's
it's
fine.
true.
16
Still-
minutes still isn't a lot.
Yeah, still
No.
the same result. Like, wow. So yeah.
I believed you though. I was like, 7 minutes?
Well,
But 16 isn't a lot.
Like, I think the total of the movie is like 2 hours or something. I'm not sure. Like, I don't want to lie again.
Let me check this just to be sure.
I mean, it's a pretty,
Yeah,
it's
it
a
is
good
2
movie.
hours.
Like, it's a
It's 2
decent,
hours,
yeah.
yeah.
So 16 minutes is not a lot of time,
Mm-mm,
considering
mm-mm.
the richness of their scenes and all of his scenes is just, they packed a lot in those 16 minutes.
And also funny thing that he's not blinking during the scenes.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is the
they
other
made-
thing.
They made sure the actor himself, Anthony, made sure he doesn't blink during his scenes, so he looks more like alien and unnerving.
That's so creepy.
And
It
it's the
works.
same thing with Wednesday, by the way. Now in
Really?
the TV show.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Like, try to notice it. And because I like the whole Addams Family and Tim Burton world
Aesthetic.
and aesthetic, yeah, I love it. So I am a consumer. I watch everything that goes out, like directed by him. And the newest season of Wednesday, there's another character that is a little bit psycho, and she likes to mimic Wednesday a lot, and she doesn't blink as well. Like, I noticed that as well, and then I watched some interviews, and it turns out that that's why they hire her, because she can't skip blinking for like, I don't know how many minutes, but it was a lot. It's
Wow,
very
that is
big eyes,
crazy.
creepy
Yeah.
eyes.
It really
And
does go a long way to make a character feel really unsettling, and you might not know why at first, but
Because
you
it's
can
not
feel
something you
it.
notice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really necessarily notice when people aren't blinking, but you feel the impact of them not doing it. Like you feel that like unsettling, you know.
And also your Mothman, I felt like the colors on the wings, they look like eyes. And
I
at some
think that was
points,
intentional.
I started tripping that the eyes are blinking uh, on the wings, because his normal eyes are blinking, like, yeah, they blink, but the eyes on the wings, they don't blink. But I was tripping, like I thought that they were blinking as well, so I paid a lot of attention there to see if they're blinking actually.
That's so cool because I really wanted to make them blink. I did. And I tried, but I couldn't make it work. So that it kind of had that played tricks on you is really nice to hear.
Yeah, it's a good character design there.
Thank you. It's really up to, I have to give props to Mila because she's the one who came up. She drew a bunch of different concepts for me, and we picked that one, and she ran with it, and she did it. Really turned out great. It did an amazing job.
Bit of a potential spoiler question. Is that his actual face or a disguise?
Can't tell you.
Okay. So it's a spoiler.
Come on.
Yeah. I guess I can tell you one thing is that his name is very literal. It's very literal.
Oh my god, that's an actual geist.
So yeah, that's all I can say.
Okay. Exciting. It's exciting. I always love those little dancing around the spoilers. Like, it makes me feel so nice.
I have to be careful because I'm one of those people who, whenever I'm talking to somebody, I'll ask them, like, do you want spoilers? And if they say yes, then I'll give them. I don't mind. So obviously in this instance, I've got to be careful. So.
Yeah, it's a bit different here because we have an audience listening.
Right, exactly. So I don't want to give anything away.
But
you can tell us afterwards, okay?
Yeah,
Sure.
after the recording is done.
Yeah.
Tell us all the secrets.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on. Fans of Evernight will be excited to know that you're not afraid of having callbacks and cameos. Without giving too much away, are there any Easter eggs or fun connections that players can look forward?
I think, other than seeing the return of certain creatures, I think there's only one real connection, and that would be the moon. Players from Evernight will definitely remember the moon. The moon's kind of its own character in my Everworld, I guess you could call it. So, yeah.
That's a nice name, actually.
Thank you. That's all I can think of. Everything was Everfall, Evernight. So if I make any more games, I'm sure they'll be ever something.
Everwinter sounds real nice. Huh.
Thank you. I might call it Everfrost. I'm not sure.
Everfrost also sounds
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah. This is like it rolls off the tongue very pretty. I love
Thank
that.
you.
How would the summer one be?
The summer one?
Ever hot? I don't know.
Ever hot?
I know. Okay, hold on. I actually have them written down. Let me pull it up. Because I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna go with this, I gotta come up. Let me find my document. Okay, you have Evernight for the Night Realm, Everlight for the Day Realm, Evergrow for Spring, Evergreen for Summer, Everfall for Autumn, and Everfrost for Winter.
Evergreen for summer.
Evergreen this.
Yeah, it sounds good, but it's weird next to Evergrown. I don't know. Like, it feels like more springy than summery. But this is my opinion. Don't listen to me.
I can see what you mean. Now that you mention it, yeah, they do sound a little weird next to each other. So I might play with that.
Yeah, but are you actually planning to I don't know, have different games for every realm?
I'm thinking about it. I do have an idea for the Winter Realm for one of the love interests. I don't know if you even want to put this in the live recording, but have you seen Dune?
Yes, the new
Yes.
movies,
Okay.
both of them.
Yes, I love them.
Yeah, me too.
There will be the Winter Prince is going to be inspired by Feyd-Rautha.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yes. I went
Okay.
with a friend there, and she was so hyped about him after the movie, especially.
It's true, and I was deeply ashamed of it, but I was like, oh man, like this is right up my alley. Why? So yeah, I do have an idea for that. I don't know. I hope I'll be able to make them after everything that happened during Everfall, with losing my friend. It really kind of derailed my passion a bit. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that I will come back to this world after Everfall is finished and write more stories.
You should. Like, definitely.
Thank
The
you.
world deserves your stories.
I appreciate that.
We deserve your stories.
Just for you guys. I'll do
Yeah.
it.
That's enough. I am okay with that. So, moving on to my favorite part. As you mentioned, as we mentioned, I really love spoilers and trying to get spoilers out of developers, and I also like exclusive content. So, is there any exclusive peek that you can share with our listeners about where Everfall might be headed, or a character we should keep an extra eye on?
Well, there are some things in the works. Nothing I can elaborate on at this time. I can give you some a sneak peek into the creation of the story. In my earliest concept, instead of Anders the prisoner, there was actually going to be 2 new human servants to the manor. They were brothers, and Mouse was going to help them escape the Autumn Realm while falling in love with one of them. I scrapped this idea pretty early on as the plot came together, because the brothers' route just didn't fit with the main story. But it's something I might use in future games. Also, Raithorn's eldest brother, Balethorn, was originally going to be part of the main story, and he would have featured heavily in Wraith's route, but I had to cut him due to art asset limitations. I'd already bombarded my artist with a ton of work, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna let this one go.
So he's not making a cameo, at least.
He will not be making a cameo, no, unfortunately. Maybe someday.
Well, I am, as I said a couple of times, excited for the future of the story, and I really hope that it's gonna see the light of the day. So thank you for sharing the exclusive content with us. It's always the little detail that makes the whole picture perfect.
Glad. Thank you guys for having me and for letting me talk about Everfall and ramble on.
And thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure exploring Everfall with you.
It has. I appreciate it.
And do you have any final words for our listeners?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who has played Evernight and loved it, left such kind comments. Thank you to the people who've played Everfall and have left me such beautiful comments and shared your excitement and your enthusiasm for it. It means the world to me to know that people are enjoying my fairy world and are looking forward to seeing what happens next.
And to our listeners, go check out Everfall, play the demo, wishlisted, and leave your feedback for Red. Supporting indie creators makes these magical stories possible. So don't forget to write a comment.
And as always, keep living your best narrative.